In the relentless arena of 21st century corporate warfare, giants rise and fall with the blink of an eye. Companies, once titans of industry, can find themselves crippled by a toxic culture, paralyzed by fear of the future, and obsessed with the fleeting victory of the next quarterly report. They are empires of glass, fragile and hollow. One such giant is Aeterna Solutions, a tech conglomerate standing on the brink of collapse. Its stock is in free fall, its best talent is fleeing, and its leadership is lost in a storm of their own making. The board has made a decision born of desperation, a move so unorthodox it has sent shockwaves through Wall Street. They have appointed a new CEO. Not a Silicon Valley prodigy or a ruthless corporate raider. Their choice is a philosopher, a warrior, a statesman, from 2,000 years in the past. What would happen if the last of the 5 good emperors, the Stoic philosopher-king Marcus Aurelius, was handed the reins of a modern, multi-billion-dollar corporation in the year 2025? Could ancient principles of virtue, reason, and self-control possibly succeed against the brutal chaos of the modern market? Or would the philosopher be devoured by the very machine he was hired to save? This is not just a question of leadership. It is a clash of civilizations, a battle for the very soul of what it means to lead, to work, and to live a life of purpose in an age of distraction. Before the philosopher arrives, we must first understand the empire he is set to inherit. Aeterna Solutions was once a beacon of innovation. Now, it is a case study in corporate decay. The problems are not merely financial, they are deeply human, woven into the fabric of its culture. The company is afflicted with 3 critical diseases. First, the disease of short-term panic. Every decision is dictated by the 24-hour news cycle and the demands of the next earnings call. Long-term research and development has been gutted in favor of projects that can show immediate, albeit minor, profit. The leadership team lives in a constant state of reaction, putting out fires with gasoline, never addressing the source of the flames. This has created a workforce that is terrified to take risks, to innovate, or to tell the truth to power. Second, Aeterna suffers from the disease of internal division. Departments operate not as collaborators, but as competing feudal states. The sales team despises the engineering team for failing to meet impossible deadlines. The marketing team operates in a bubble, disconnected from the reality of the product. Information is hoarded. Blame is a currency traded freely in every meeting. This internal friction has ground innovation to a halt. The company, so focused on its internal wars, has become blind to the external threats from hungrier, more agile competitors who are rapidly stealing their market share. The very name, Aeterna, which means eternal, has become a bitter joke whispered in the hallways. Finally, and most devastatingly, is the disease of purposelessness. The employees of Aeterna no longer know why they do what they do. The original mission of the company, to solve complex problems through technology, has been forgotten, replaced by the hollow goal of maximizing shareholder value. This has led to a widespread epidemic of burnout. People are not just tired, their spirits are broken. They feel like cogs in a meaningless machine, their days consumed by endless meetings, bureaucratic red tape, and the gnawing anxiety that their work has no real impact. This is the battlefield that awaits the new CEO. It is not an army of barbarians at the gates he must face, but something far more insidious, an empire rotting from within. To understand how CEO Aurelius would confront this crisis, we must first understand the weapons he brings to the fight. His arsenal is not one of business degrees or financial models, but of powerful mental frameworks forged in the crucible of Roman politics and the harsh realities of the battlefield. His guiding philosophy is Stoicism, and its principles are ruthlessly practical. First and foremost is the dichotomy of control. It is the simple, yet profound, understanding that some things are within our control, and some things are not. The stock market, the actions of competitors, the opinions of news anchors, these are external, beyond our direct command. Our own judgments, our actions, our integrity, our response to events, these are ours alone to control. For a company paralyzed by external pressures, this single idea is a revolutionary declaration of independence. It shifts the focus from panicked reaction to purposeful action. The second tool is the view from above, or Plato's view. This is the practice of zooming out, of seeing your own problems, your own company, even your own life, from a cosmic perspective. From this vantage point, the petty squabbles between departments, the panic over a single bad quarter, the ego-driven conflicts, they all shrink to their true, insignificant size. This is not meant to diminish the importance of the work, but to grant perspective. It allows a leader to see the larger patterns, to think in terms of decades rather than days, and to make decisions based on the long-term health of the whole system, not the short-term fears of a single part. It is the ultimate antidote to the myopia that plagues Aeterna. Finally, there is the principle of amor fati, a love of fate, and the understanding that the obstacle is the way. The Stoic does not pray for an easy life, but for the strength to endure a difficult one. They do not see setbacks, a failed product launch, a hostile competitor, a market downturn, as disasters. They see them as opportunities. An opportunity to practice courage, to demonstrate resilience, to learn, and to grow stronger. Every crisis becomes a training ground for virtue. For a company that has come to fear failure, this is the most radical principle of all. It is a call not to avoid obstacles, but to embrace them as the very path to greatness. These are the tools CEO Aurelius brings to his first day at Aeterna. He is not here to implement a new financial strategy, he is here to perform surgery on the soul of the company itself. The day of the first all-hands meeting arrives. The air in the auditorium is thick with tension. The employees of Aeterna are expecting a typical CEO speech, a mix of corporate jargon, unrealistic promises, and perhaps a veiled threat about restructuring. What they receive is something else entirely. CEO Aurelius stands before them, not with the forced energy of a motivational speaker, but with the profound calm of a man who has faced far worse than a bad quarter. He begins, his voice steady and clear. Good morning. I see the anxiety in this room. I have read the reports. I have seen the fear in the markets. And I tell you now, none of it matters. The stock price today is not within our control. The headlines in the news are not within our control. The actions of our rivals are not within our control. For too long, this company has been a slave to things it cannot command. We have been a ship without a rudder, tossed about by every storm. Today, that ends. We will stop looking at the storm. We will start looking at the ship. A silence falls over the room. This is not the language of business, it is the language of philosophy. He continues, introducing the dichotomy of control not as an abstract idea, but as the company's new prime directive. From this moment forward, we will waste zero energy on what is not ours to control. Instead, we will pour every ounce of our collective will into the things that are. The quality of our work. The integrity of our designs. The honesty of our communication with each other. The courage to pursue bold ideas, even if they might fail. The discipline to do the small things right, every single day. These are the things that build an institution that lasts. Profit is a byproduct of excellence, not its goal. We have been chasing the shadow and have forgotten the substance. Our new goal is simple, to be excellent in our work, and virtuous in our conduct. He doesn't present a 10-point plan or a complex restructuring chart. His first action is to change the company's internal metrics. He announces the abolition of certain vanity metrics tied to short-term market reactions. In their place, he introduces measures of product quality, customer satisfaction, and employee well-being. He concludes not with a roar, but with a quiet, profound challenge. Do not ask if this will be easy. It will not. Ask if it will be meaningful. An obstacle has been placed in our path. We can curse it, or we can use it. We will use it. We will use this crisis to burn away the rot, to rediscover our purpose, and to build something worthy of the name Aeterna. The work begins now. Focus on your craft. Be good to one another. The rest will follow. He steps away from the podium. There is no thunderous applause. There is a deep, contemplative silence. For the first time in years, the people of Aeterna are not thinking about the stock price. They are thinking about their purpose. The revolution has begun, not in the spreadsheets, but in the mind. The philosopher's new regime is immediately put to the test. Seeing Aeterna's low stock price and internal turmoil, a notorious corporate raider, Goliath Capital, senses blood in the water. They launch a hostile takeover bid, aiming to buy a controlling stake, dismantle the company, and sell off its parts for a quick, ruthless profit. The media goes into a frenzy. Wall Street analysts predict Aeterna's imminent demise. The board panics, urging Aurelius to take drastic, defensive poison pill measures, to engage in a public war of words, to fight fire with fire. This is the ultimate external threat, a direct assault from forces beyond his control. In the face of this storm, CEO Aurelius remains a pillar of calm. He calls an emergency board meeting, but he doesn't begin by discussing financial defenses. He begins by asking a simple question. What is Goliath Capital? It is an external event. Is there action within our control? The board members look at each other, confused. No, one of them mutters. Good, Aurelius replies. Then we will not waste our energy fighting them on their terms. Their battle is for money. Our battle is for purpose. We will not engage in a public shouting match. To do so would be to accept their frame, to admit that their opinion of our value matters more than our own. It does not. Instead of launching a PR war, Aurelius directs the company to do the opposite, to turn inward. He issues a company-wide memo that is leaked to the press within an hour. It contains no mention of Goliath Capital. Instead, it is a passionate and reasoned defense of Aeterna's new mission, a call for employees to ignore the noise and focus with even greater intensity on building the best products of their careers. He doubles down on the long-term R&D projects that Goliath had promised to cut. He spends his time not with lawyers and bankers, but with his engineers and designers. The market is baffled by this passive, unserious defense. Goliath Capital escalates its attacks, calling the new CEO an out-of-touch academic. Yet, a strange thing begins to happen. Aeterna's employees, who were once ready to abandon the sinking ship, are inspired by their leader's quiet defiance. They see a leader who trusts them and the value of their work more than he fears an external threat. They rally. Key long-term investors, impressed by this unwavering focus on substance over spectacle, publicly state their support for Aurelius's vision. The takeover bid becomes more difficult, more expensive. Aurelius demonstrates a Stoic truth: the best defense is not to build higher walls, but to build a stronger core. By refusing to be distracted by the barbarian at the gate, he strengthens the city within. The fight is far from over, but the first assault has been repelled, not with financial tricks, but with philosophical clarity. Not all threats come from the outside. An internal crisis looms, a relic of the old Aeterna's poor decision-making. A major product line, the Icarus project, which consumed immense resources, is a catastrophic failure in the market. It is bleeding money, and the logic is inescapable: the division must be shut down, and hundreds of employees will have to be laid off. For any CEO, this is a moment of immense pain and risk. For a philosopher-king who preaches virtue, it is a trial by fire. How does a Stoic leader handle the necessity of causing hardship? The old Aeterna would have done it on a Friday afternoon, with impersonal emails and security guards. Aurelius chooses a different path. He calls a meeting with the entire affected division. He does not send a subordinate. He goes himself. He begins not with excuses, but with a full acceptance of reality and his role in it. The Icarus project has failed. We can assign blame, we can lament the market, but those are indulgences. The reality is this: the product did not serve our customers well, and it is now harming the health of our entire community. As your leader, the responsibility for this outcome is mine. We made a judgment, and it was wrong. Now, we must make a difficult but necessary choice to preserve the whole. This means that your roles here will come to an end. A wave of despair washes over the crowd. But then Aurelius does something unexpected. He does not talk about synergies or restructuring. He talks about fate and virtue. This is a harsh turn of events. It is a misfortune. But it is not a judgment on your character or your effort. A Stoic accepts what fate delivers. But we are not passive. We have a choice in how we respond. Our choice, as a company, is to respond with justice and compassion. You will each receive a severance package that honors your contribution, far exceeding the industry standard. We will provide extensive resources, career counseling, networking, training, to help you find your next path. Your departure from this company will be handled with the dignity you deserve. And to each of you, I offer this thought from Epictetus: it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This event is an obstacle. It is a severe one. But it is also an opportunity. An opportunity to show resilience. To discover new strengths. To find a new purpose. We did not wish for this moment, but it is here. Let us face it with courage and integrity, as befits good people facing hardship. The process is painful, but it is not cruel. It is transparent, just, and humane. The story of how Aeterna handled its layoffs becomes a legend in the industry. Instead of creating a wave of terror through the remaining workforce, it does the opposite. The employees see a leader who does not shy away from terrible duties, who acts with principle even when it is costly, and who values people as ends in themselves, not as means to a profit. In the midst of failure, CEO Aurelius has done the unthinkable. He has built trust. He has shown that the obstacle, even one as terrible as this, truly is the way. With the external attack repelled and the painful internal surgery complete, CEO Aurelius turns his full attention to the long-term health of his empire. He knows that a company is not its products or its stock price, a company is its people and their shared habits of thought. To prevent the old diseases from returning, he must inoculate the culture with the principles of Stoicism. He introduces a series of radical new practices, designed not just to improve productivity, but to cultivate wisdom and resilience. The first is the premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. Before any major project begins, teams are required to hold a pre-mortem. They spend an entire meeting imagining every possible way the project could fail. The server could crash. The main competitor could launch a similar product first. The key designer could quit. This is not an exercise in pessimism. It is the opposite. By confronting the worst-case scenarios in advance, the teams strip them of their power to cause fear and panic. They build contingency plans. They identify weaknesses. They become anti-fragile, stronger in the face of chaos. This practice eliminates the toxic optimism that led to the Icarus disaster and replaces it with a calm, clear-eyed preparedness. He also introduces the practice of philosophical journaling. He encourages every employee, from the janitor to the senior vice presidents, to spend 15 minutes at the end of each day reflecting on 3 questions. What did I do well? What did I do poorly? How can I improve tomorrow? He provides journals to every employee, filled with quotes from Stoic philosophers. This shifts the focus from external validation to internal self-improvement. It cultivates a workforce of individuals who take ownership of their actions and are engaged in a constant process of growth. It is a quiet, personal practice that collectively transforms the company's character. Finally, he fundamentally redesigns the workday. He institutes a company-wide policy of deep work hours, a 4-hour block each morning with no meetings, no emails, no instant messages. This is a time for focused, undistracted creation. He argues that innovation is not born in frantic, back-to-back meetings, but in quiet contemplation and sustained effort. He encourages employees to see their work as a craft, a practice, like a sculptor shaping stone. By giving them the time and space to pursue excellence, he restores the sense of purpose that had been lost. He is not just managing a company, he is cultivating a modern-day Stoic academy, forging a new legion of philosopher workers, ready to face the complexities of the modern world with ancient wisdom. As the internal culture of Aeterna begins to heal, CEO Aurelius turns his gaze outward once more, not with fear, but with a new, philosophical clarity. It is time to define the company's long-term strategy. The old board and the market analysts expect a detailed presentation on market share, competitive analysis, and 5-year financial projections. Aurelius schedules a strategy meeting, but the agenda contains only one item: the view from above. He begins the meeting by asking the executive team to close their eyes. Imagine you are looking down upon this city from a great height. See the millions of people, each with their own hopes, fears, and struggles. See the flow of traffic, the exchange of goods, the rhythm of life. Now, zoom out further. See our country, the continent, the entire Earth spinning in the silent darkness. See the brief flicker of human history against the vast backdrop of cosmic time. Where, in this vast picture, is Aeterna Solutions? Where are our competitors? Where is our last quarterly report? He uses this Stoic exercise to completely reframe the purpose of corporate strategy. He argues that for too long, they have been obsessed with beating the competition, a goal he finds both trivial and ultimately self-defeating. To define yourself by your enemy is to give them power over you. To be in a constant state of war is exhausting and breeds paranoia, not creativity. Instead, he proposes a new strategic anchor. We will no longer ask, how can we win against our competitors? We will ask a better question, what is our unique duty to the whole? The whole is society, our community, the great chain of human enterprise. What enduring human problem can we solve better than anyone else? What is the virtuous role that only Aeterna can play? Let us forget the race for market share. Let us begin a quest for utility and service. Our strategy will not be a plan to conquer a market, but a commitment to fulfill a duty. This shift is profound. It moves the company from a finite game, where the goal is to win, to an infinite game, where the goal is to keep playing, to perpetuate and improve the system. This new perspective unlocks a torrent of innovation. Instead of creating incremental improvements on existing products to steal a few percentage points of market share, the teams at Aeterna begin to work on audacious, long-term projects aimed at solving fundamental problems. They begin to collaborate with former competitors on industry-wide challenges, realizing that the whole is better served by cooperation than by conflict. Aurelius uses the view from above to give his company the one thing it had lost completely, a noble purpose, a mission worthy of their efforts. He provides them with a North Star that will not change with the passing storms of the market. 2 years have passed since the philosopher took the helm. The world of finance, which once mocked his methods, is now watching in stunned silence. Aeterna Solutions has not had a single blowout quarter that shattered expectations. It has not made flashy, headline-grabbing acquisitions. Instead, it has done something far more remarkable. It has become consistently, reliably, and quietly excellent. The employee attrition rate has plummeted to become the lowest in the industry. The company has become a magnet for top talent, attracting not mercenaries seeking a quick payday, but craftspeople seeking a place to do meaningful work. The products born from their new, purpose-driven strategy are not just profitable, they are revolutionary, earning fanatical loyalty from customers. We all thought he was a novelty, a joke. We were looking for the usual metrics, the aggressive growth. We were looking for a warrior. But we misunderstood the nature of the battle. He wasn't fighting a war for market share. He was building a fortress. While everyone else was fighting over scraps of land, he was cultivating a deep, fertile, and unassailable domain. Their profits are strong, yes, but their foundation seems unbreakable. I've never seen anything like it. The hostile takeover attempt from Goliath Capital is a distant memory. The raider firm, unable to break the company's resolve, moved on long ago in search of easier prey. Aeterna's success is not loud or arrogant. It is calm, confident, and resilient. CEO Aurelius rarely gives interviews. He does not appear on magazine covers. He is focused on the work. When asked by a rare journalist for the secret to his success, his answer is simple. There is no secret. We simply distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. We focus on our work, we act with justice towards one another, and we accept the outcomes with equanimity. Success is not found in the applause of the crowd, but in the quiet knowledge that you have done your duty to the best of your ability. He has achieved the ultimate victory. He has not just saved the company, he has redefined what success means within its walls. It is no longer about the frantic pursuit of more, but the calm cultivation of better. The empire is no longer dying. It is strong, purposeful, and built not on glass, but on the bedrock of timeless philosophical principles. The story of CEO Aurelius at Aeterna Solutions begins as a thought experiment, but it ends as a powerful blueprint, a challenge to the very foundations of modern leadership. What does his success teach us? It teaches us that the relentless pursuit of external validation, more fame, more money, higher stock prices, is a fragile and ultimately unfulfilling path. It leads to burnout, anxiety, and a culture of fear. The Aurelian model offers a radical alternative, a leadership based on internal validation. A leadership that finds its strength not in commanding others, but in mastering oneself. His approach exposes the flaws in our modern conception of a strong leader. We often mistake loudness for authority, frantic activity for productivity, and aggression for strength. Aurelius demonstrates that true strength lies in quiet resolve, in the ability to remain calm amidst chaos, in the courage to do what is right, not just what is easy or profitable. His leadership is not about motivation through fear or hype, but about inspiration through example. He shows that a leader's primary duty is not to manage a balance sheet, but to be the chief philosopher of their organization, to constantly ask, why are we here, and how should we act? Perhaps the most enduring legacy of his tenure is the idea that work can be more than just a job. It can be a practice, a path to self-improvement. By infusing the daily grind with philosophical purpose, he transformed Aeterna from a place of drudgery into a place of meaning. He reminded his people that how you do anything is how you do everything. The same principles of integrity, discipline, and resilience that they practiced on a difficult coding problem or a challenging client call were the very same principles that could help them be better parents, better friends, and better human beings. The Aurelian legacy is a simple, powerful idea: true business excellence is a byproduct of human excellence. To build a great company, you must first be committed to building great people. In the end, our thought experiment reveals a profound truth. We brought a 2,000-year-old emperor to the future to see how he would lead us. But the principles he used, reason, justice, courage, temperance, are not ancient relics. They are timeless virtues, accessible to anyone, at any time. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius does not belong to the past, it belongs to anyone willing to engage in the difficult, daily work of self-mastery. We do not need to resurrect an emperor to save our institutions. We need only to resurrect the emperor within ourselves. The story of Aeterna is a grand metaphor, but the challenges are real. You face them every day. The difficult boss. The stressful project. The fear of failure. The feeling of being overwhelmed by forces beyond your control. The tools used by CEO Aurelius are not reserved for emperors or CEOs. They are available to you, right now. The Dichotomy of Control is a practical tool to reduce your anxiety in this very moment. The view from above can give you perspective on the argument you had this morning. The obstacle is the way is a lens through which you can reframe your biggest personal challenge. So we leave you with this final question. Not, what would Marcus Aurelius do, but what will you do? Of all the challenges you face, which parts are truly outside your control, and which part, your response, your attitude, your next action, is entirely within your command? How can you face that challenge not with fear or anger, but with virtue and courage? The greatest empire you will ever rule is the one within your own mind. The work of leading it begins now.